the special favor of Allah. Holy Allah. The universe is the body and its soul. Holy Allah. Holy Allah.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. Amma ba'd, a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulullah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabiyallah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nurallah. Viewers of Madani Channel, welcome to our series of programs Yesterday, Today and Tomorrow. And the idea behind these series of programs is that we learn from the past, make a change today so that we can have a better tomorrow. So let's learn from yesterday, make a change today and have a better tomorrow. And as Muslims, we are very, very lucky that we have such a great, rich heritage behind us. Such great personalities, such pious personalities have been before us, yet unfortunately, we know very, very, very little about them. Today, inshallah, there'll be a great personality that I'm going to mention. And I feel that very few of us will know anything about him. So please pay attention to what we're going to say today, inshallah. You'll learn about a very great personality from the 16th century, inshallah. But before we begin, we're going to give you a blessing of reciting Durood Pak upon the Prophet of Allah, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam. It is reported to have said, the Prophet of Allah, sallallahu ta'ala wasallam, is reported to have said that the one who recites Durood Pak upon me 100 times on the day and the night of Friday, Allah Azza wa Jalla will fulfill his 100 needs, 70 of the hereafter and 30 of this world. Moreover, Allah Azza wa Jalla will appoint an angel who will bring that durood in my grave in such a way like gifts are presented to you. Undoubtedly, the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam goes on to say, undoubtedly my knowledge after my apparent death will be the same as in my apparent life. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Before we go further, viewers of my channel, I just want to mention something there. It mentions the day and the night of Friday. The day and the night of Friday. The night starts before the day, Islamically. So, for example, if it is Thursday now, let's say it's Thursday now, and Maghrib has started. As soon as Maghrib starts, that is the Friday night. That is Friday night. Irrespective of whether Maghrib is at 4 o'clock or Maghrib is at 10 o'clock. Friday night has now started. And Friday night will continue until the sunrise on Friday morning. So the night is before the day. Remember this. So what you would normally class as Thursday night is actually Friday night Islamically. So the blessing of this Durood Pak that we just mentioned to you now is on the Friday night Islamically, which you would consider the Thursday night. So Thursday night after Maghrib, try and sit down, make some time and recite Durood Pak upon the Prophet of Allah sallallahu ta'ala wasallam. And we have said many, many times before, who knows, that one extra Durood Pak that you recite today might make all the difference on the Day of Judgment. Viewers of Madani Channel, today we're going to talk about a personality from the 16th century that many of us maybe have not heard his name. Now, mashallah, if you have heard his name, marhaba, very good. But I think if we were to do a census, if we were to ask 100 Muslims that do they know the name of this great personality, I think 90% maybe, or maybe even more, would not know who this person is. And that again reflects on our lack of knowledge about our great personalities of the past. In an office atmosphere, I was at about a week ago, and we started talking about our rich heritage and our great personalities of the past. And the Muslims that were sitting there, they did not know the names of these people. They did not know who these people were. And that makes you think that, you know, we're losing that edge, so to speak. We're losing that guide, that, you know, the role models that exist for us, they're there for us, but because we don't know anything about them, then we're losing them role models. So the role model that we're going to talk about today is the great Mujaddid Al-Fisani, rahmatullahi ta'ala. And it's stated that this person was a great leader of the spiritual chain of Silsila Naqshbandiya, Sayyidina Mujaddid Al-Fisani, rahmatullahi ta'ala. Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi Faruqi Naqshbandi was born in a place called Sarhind, in Hind in India. His blessed name was Ahmad, and his patronymic name was Abul Barakat, and his title was Badruddin. He is from the lineage of Sayyidina Hazrat Umar Farooq radiyallahu ta'ala. Now, the father of this great scholar, this great Mujaddid Al-Fisani, Rahmatullah Ta'ala, Sayyidina Sheikh Abdul Ahad Farooqi Chishti Qadri, was also a prominent scholar and a highly ranked accomplished saint. In his youth, it is stated that he presented himself in the court of Sheikh Abdul Quddus Chishti Sabri to gain spiritual blessings and intended to reside at his blessed residence. But Sheikh Abdul Quddus Chishti Rahmatullah Ta'ala said, "Come after completing your religious education." When he came back, after completing his religious education, Sheikh Abdul Quddus Chishti Rahmatullah Ta'ala had passed away, and his blessed son, Sheikh Rukunuddin Chishti Rahmatullah Ta'ala, had been appointed as his father's successor. He blessed Sheikh Abdul Ahad Farooqi Rahmatullah Ta'ala with his Khilafah in the spiritual chain of Silsile Qadriya and Chishtiya, and granted him authority in the comprehensive and eloquent Arabic language. He, Rahmatullah Ta'ala, spent a lot of time traveling and met a lot of highly ranked awliya, and in the end he came to Sarhind, and he taught Islamic knowledge through sacred books while residing there all his life. He was unmatchable, it stated, in the fields of Usul, in fiqh, and also used to give dars from the books of Sufiya, such as Taruf and Fususil Hikam. A lot of Mashaykh benefited from him. He was married in a pious family from Attaway, close to Sikandari. The blessed father of Imam Rabbani, Sheikh Abdullah Ahad Farooqi, passed away at the age of 80. His blessed shrine is situated in the western part of Sarhind Sharif. Now, Sayyidina Mujaddid Al-Fithani, Rahmatullah Ta'ala, he acquired a lot of branches of education from his blessed father. Now, if you look at I just want to pause there for a second. If you look at a lot of the pious people of the past, they acquired a lot of their knowledge from their father. Okay? You talk about these great people. We talk about Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala, that he also gained knowledge from his blessed father. And a lot of people gained knowledge from the blessed father. And it makes you think that what is the role of the father? You know, nowadays we think the role of the father is to earn as much money as possible, buy the children, the trainers, the PC tablets, the game consoles, the jackets, the shoes, and spend £30,000 on a marriage, and they think, I've done my job. Allahu Akbar. And the mother thinks that my job is to cook, clean, wash, make sure they have clean clothes on, make sure they have them. But who is responsible for the tarbiyat of them children? Who is responsible for giving the education to that children? Now, there's two problems here. Number one, we kind of like offload. We offload our children to the Imam Sahib, the Qari, the Madrasa, and say, you sort him out. And there's a reason for that. We don't know anything. We don't know anything. And because we don't know anything, we cannot pass that knowledge on. And at the same time, because we don't know anything, we cannot check what the Qari Sahib or the teacher of whichever madrasa he's going to is actually educating our children. What is the level of the qualification of the level of the education that my child is getting? And it's because we don't have that knowledge. Many people say that, you should really take a course on being a parent before you become a parent, and understand your roles and responsibilities. Now, unfortunately, it is not farda wajib, but if you think about it, it's very important to understand your role. It is very important to understand your responsibilities in bringing your children up. And like we see here, I only mentioned one sentence, I've not gone further on, because all of a sudden it came to my mind the importance of the tarbiyat of the father. Now, even if the father cannot give them that religious education, he cannot teach them the qaida, he cannot teach them the nazra, he cannot teach them fiqh, but he can teach them adab. He can teach them the eloquence, the etiquettes of living in the society, of how to be respectful to elders, and how to talk to people, and how to sit with people, and how to meet people. This again is the responsibility of the father. The Qari Sahib is not going to do that. The Qari Sahib will go through the qaida, he'll go through the Quran. That's it. You'll give him a gift and say, Qari Sahib, mashallah, jazakallah, you taught my children, they've now read the Quran, mashallah, excellent. And you give him a gift, and you think, well, I've done my job now, haven't I? You haven't. That's just the start. That's just the start. Who's going to make your children understand the Quran? Who's going to make your children understand and follow the Sunnah of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Who is going to instill the adab that a person needs to have within our society to become a role model of the Muslim society? And if you think about it, again, I know, I'm sorry we're going off topic, viewers of my channel, but that again is where we are failing. There's so many children have gone off the track because they've lost the role models. Now today we're talking about a role model from the past. But we need to be the role models of our children. Our children need to look up to us for guidance. We need to look to these role models for guidance. But our children will look to us. The daughter will copy the mother, the son will copy the father. So when we're talking about these role models and we say that we need to learn from them, we need to follow their lives, the reason for this is that our children are going to look to us. They're going to look to us as the role models. They're going to look to us to see how to live their lives. And if we live our life that we're only concerned about making pounds and making dollars and making rands and making euros, and that is our only concern in life, what do you expect from your child other than having that same mentality? But if he sees a father that reads his salah with Jamaat, they see a father that's spending in the way of Allah Azza wa Jalla, they see a father that's reading the Quran, they see a father that's fasting during the month of Ramadan and going praying his Taraweeh, then inshaAllah Azza wa Jalla, we can hope and pray that this child will follow in your footsteps. But if you don't, then what chance? What image are you giving that child? He's just going to see you making money, thinks, you know what, that's my job. The daughter sees the mother doing all this, okay, that's my job. I know. But these people of the past, they acquired that knowledge. They acquired the knowledge of the deen for many reasons. One of them, obviously, the foremost is to please Allah Azza wa Jal. The second is that you need, I need this knowledge. I need this knowledge. You need this knowledge. It is further upon us to acquire a certain amount of knowledge. But at the same time, if we look at the pious predecessors, they would acquire that knowledge, not only with the intention of acquiring the knowledge to improve themselves, but also acquiring the knowledge, understanding that knowledge, acting upon that knowledge, and then passing that knowledge on to others so that other people can benefit as well. I do apologize, we've got a little away from the actual, what I was talking about. But Sayyidina Mujaddid al-Alifsani, he acquired a lot of branches of knowledge from his blessed father. His blessed father was called Sheikh Abdul Ahad, Rahmatullah Ta'ala. And along with the love of Faraid, he acquired the love of Nawafil as well from his blessed father. Therefore he says, I attained the ability to perform Nafil worship, especially Nafil prayers, from my blessed father. Again, the father, he got that passion to read Salah, to read the Nafil from his blessed father. Nowadays, very few of us read the Nafil in the prayers. In the Zohar, how many of us read the 2 Nafil at the end? In the Maghrib, how many of us read the 2 Nafil at the end? In Isha, how many of us read the 2 Nafil in the middle and the end? How many of us do this? How many of us get up and read Tahajjud? How many of us read Chasht Ishtiraq? How many of us read Awabin? How many of us read Tahiyatul Wuzu, Tahiyatul Masjid and all these Nawafil? How many of us? And maybe people are listening and think, well, I don't even heard about them. Okay, you've not heard of them, but what about the Nafil of the 5 daily prayers? How many of us, when it comes for the time of Isha, we miss Jamaat. And then what happens is, it gets later and later. Now when you decide, I'm going to read my namaz, I'm going to read it. I'm not going to go to sleep until I read my namaz. I'm going to read my namaz. I'm going to read my namaz. But then what happens is, the later you leave it, what do? Well, Farz, 2 Sunnat, 3 Witr, and you go to bed. Because you're tired now. But if you go and read it with Jamaat, inshallah, then you'll get the time to read the Nawafil, and you become a habitual of it. But unfortunately, we don't. We don't go to the masjid, we don't read our namaz. We're not interested in going for Jamaat, we're not interested in reading the Nawafil. But again, we see from here that he says, I attained, listen to this, I'll read it again. He says, I attained the ability to perform Nafil worship, especially Nafil prayers, from my blessed father. Apart from his blessed father, he also benefited from other teachers. For example, he studied few difficult books from Maulana Kamal Kashmiri, Rahmatullah Ta'ala. He studied the books of Hadith from Maulana Sheikh Muhammad Yaqub Sarfi Kashmiri, and he obtained certification from him. Along with Qasida Burda Sharif, he studied many books of tafsir, hadith from Qazi Bahulul Badakshi. Sayyidina Mujaddid al-Alifsani completed all branches of general education at the age of 17. Allahu Akbar. 17. And he acquired all of the essential branches of general education by the age of 17. What was I doing at the age of 17? What knowledge did I have at the age of 17? What did I spend my time in by that age? Had I become a good football player, a good cricket player, a good pool player, a good snooker player, but didn't know how to read my Quran? And we look at these pious people of the past, And they didn't waste their life. That youth there, they did not waste their life. After completing his studies, Sayyidina Mujaddid Alif Thani Rahmatullah came to Agra, which is in Hind, and he started teaching. And various prominent scholars of that area started to come in his court, and they enlightened their hearts with the knowledge and wisdom of Sayyidina Mujaddid Alif Thani. When he had spent a lot of time in Agra, his blessed father started missing him and became restless to see him. Listen to this. Therefore, the blessed father traveled a long journey, came to Agra, and soothed his eyes by beholding his beloved son. When a scholar of Agra asked him the reason of his sudden visit, he replied, "The desire to meet Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi has brought me here, because due to a few commitments, it was difficult for him to come to me. That's why I have come to see him myself." So in this particular case, the father was also a great scholar. We mentioned that earlier on. But the father now has come to visit the son. Now it is, would we do this? Obedient, we know, viewers of the channel, that obedient and righteous offspring is the coolness of the eyes and peace of the heart. And the way the offspring gets the reward of an accepted Hajj is by glancing at a merciful gaze towards his parents. So if a child looks at their parents with love and affection, the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that you will get the reward of one accepted Hajj. Allahu Akbar. And the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was then asked, "Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if I look at my parents with love and affection 100 times a day?" Allahu Akbar. And the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that if you look at your father or your mother with love and affection 100 times a day, then you will get the reward of an accepted Hajj. In the same way, the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam also said, when a father looks at his son once, the son gets the reward of freeing one slave. And it was asked in the blessed court of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that even if the father looks 360 times, Allahu Akbar. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, Allah Azza wa Jal is exalted, meaning he has authority over everything. He's free from the fact to say that he is not capable to give this much reward. Allahu Akbar. Allama Abdul Rauf Manawi Rahmatullah Ta'ala says that it means that when the father looks at his son, when a father, listen to this, when the father looks at his son and he finds him obeying Allah Azza wa Jal, then the son gets the reward of freeing up one slave. One reason for this is that the son pleased his Lord as well as providing tranquility to his father's eyes because his father saw in him the obedience of Allah Azza wa Jal. So if, you have a son, and there will be people out there that are lucky that they have children who are obedient, that are following the path of the Sunnah of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are going to the weekly ijtima, they're going on the Madani Qafla. Then look at them and be proud of them and be thankful. Look at them with love and affection and be thankful that, Ya Allah, my son, mashallah, he's following the path of Deen. How fortunate I am. Not only when you look at your son in that way, then you will have the coolness in your heart, you'll have peace and tranquility in your heart. But at the same time, you are allowing your son to get the reward of freeing a slave, no matter how many times. If you look at your children 360 times a day with love and affection, then they will get the reward of that freeing 360 slaves. And so it's very important that we have this relationship between parents and our children, that our children look at our parents with love and affection. And I pray that our children follow that path, that they give the parents the peace and tranquility so that the parents can look at them in that way. But unfortunately, viewers of my channel, we see that there are very few parents that can actually look at the children in that way. Every week we have a weekly ijtima, and when I'm going to the weekly ijtima, I get a phone call, I get a message. Brother, can you talk about, bringing up children, in this area, these children now, they used to be reading the Quran, they used to come to the masjid, now they're selling drugs, now they're drug dealing, now they're doing this, now they're doing that. And the parents are concerned, the parents are worried. This is a reality, viewers of my channel, that this is happening all around us. But as parents, I'm sorry to say, but sometimes we leave it too late. We leave it too late and we think that, it's Chota, he's only small at the moment. Nothing to worry about. And we're not concerned about his language, we're not concerned about his clothes, we're not concerned about his style, we're not concerned about anything. You know, when he's bigger, he'll be okay, it'll be okay. When he gets bigger, then it's too late. You know, up until the age of maybe 9, 10, your children are effectively in your control. You can tell them what to do, you can guide them, you can instruct them. As they get older, unfortunately, a time comes where they start telling you what they're going to do. Not asking you, telling you. And then it's difficult. I remember many years ago, we got a message from the sisters that a phone call was made by a parent. And this parent was really concerned. This sister was really concerned about, you know, the society and the problems of society. And the sister said that I'm really, really worried. I need help. You know, I'm worried about my upbringing of my child. I don't know what's going to happen to my child. Look at what's happening in society. This is happening. This is happening. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And the sister said to her that, my dear sister, how old is your child at the moment? Yeah? So we can guide you accordingly. And she said, my child is 2 months old. That's the time. That's the time where you need to start thinking. In fact, before that, that's the time that you need to start thinking about the tarbiyat of your children. Instead of leaving it until they're 14, 15, 16 and they're not listening to you. It's too late then. So as parents, we need to be aware of our responsibilities, aware of the fact that it's my responsibility, not somebody else's responsibility. I can't push it off to Qari Sahib, I can't push it off to Imam Sahib, I can't get the best teacher and say, oh, my job. No, it's your responsibility as a mother, as a father, to give your children that time that they need. They don't need that money. Yes, the children will say they need that money, but what they really need for success in this dunya and the akhirat is your time, the tarbiyat. That £1 million, for example, viewers of the channel, we're going to go to the kalam in a minute, but if you leave your children, for example, you leave this dunya and you leave your child with £1 million, what will happen? They will enjoy it, without a doubt. But I'm asking you, how will you benefit in the grave? But if you leave your children with love of Rasul in their hearts, a love of the Sunnah in their hearts, a love of the Quran in their hearts, obedience to Shariat in their hearts, then insha'Allah Azza wa Jal, when you're in that dark and lonely grave, you will see the benefits, the blessings of your children following in their footsteps. Viewers of the channel, you're watching yesterday, today and tomorrow. And I think I've gone on a little bit and I please apologize. Inshallah, we'll get back to the topic after the break. We're going to go to a kalam now, inshallah. And when we get back, we'll continue with the topic of the day. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
मेरे रज़ा मेरे रज़ा मेरे रज़ा मेरे रज़ा मेरे रज़ा मेरे रज़ा रहनुमाए कामिला मेरा रज़ा पेशवाए आशिकां मेरा रज़ा है हमारा मुक़्तदा मेरा रज़ा इल्म फन का बादशाह मेरा रज़ा है मदीने की ज़िया मेरा रज़ा गौसे पाक की अता मेरा रज़ा प्यारे रज़ा सोहणे रज़ा अच्छे रज़ा सच्चे रज़ा रज़ा ऐ मेरे रज़ा ऐ मेरे रज़ा अहमद रज़ा अहमद रज़ा अहमद रज़ा अहमद रज़ा जलवाए नूर है कि सरापा रज़ा का है तस्वीर सुन्नियत है कि चेहरा रज़ा का है वादी रज़ा की कोहे हिमाला रज़ा का है वादी रज़ा की कोहे हिमाला रज़ा का है जिस समत देखिए वो इलाका रज़ा का है रज़ा ऐ मेरे रज़ा ऐ मेरे रज़ा कि جس کی مجال ہے جو نظر بھی ملا سکے، دربار مصطفیٰ میں ٹھکانہ رضا کا ہے، الفاظ بہہ رہے ہیں دلیلوں کی دھار پر، الفاظ بہہ رہے ہیں دلیلوں کی دھار پر، چلتا ہوا قلم ہے کہ دھارا رضا کا ہے، احمد رضا، احمد رضا، احمد رضا، احمد رضا، رہنمائے کاملہ میرا رضا، میرا رضا، پیشوائے عاشقاں میرا رضا، میرا رضا، ہے ہمارا مقتدا میرا رضا، میرا رضا، علم و فن کا بادشاہ میرا رضا، میرا رضا، ہے مدینے کی ضیا میرا رضا، میرا رضا، غوث پاک کی عطا میرا رضا، میرا رضا، میرا رضا، میرا رضا، میرا رضا، میرا رضا، پیارے رضا، سوہنے رضا، اچھے رضا، سچے رضا، رضا رضا رضا، اے میرے رضا، رضا رضا، اے میرے رضا، دستار آ رہی ہے زمین پر جو سر اٹھے، اتنا بلند آج پھریرا رضا کا ہے، چھوتا ہے آسمان کو مینار عزم کا، چھوتا ہے آسمان کو مینار عزم کا، یعنی اٹل پہاڑ ارادہ رضا کا ہے، رضا رضا رضا، اے میرے رضا، رضا رضا، اے میرے رضا، دریا فصاحتوں کے رواں شاعری میں ہیں، یہ سہل ممتنع ہے کہ لہجہ رضا کا ہے، جو اس نے لکھ دیا ہے سند ہے وہ دین میں، جو اس نے لکھ دیا ہے سند ہے وہ دین میں، اہل قلم کی آبر نکتہ رضا کا ہے، احمد رضا، احمد رضا، احمد رضا، احمد رضا، اگلوں نے بھی لکھا ہے بہت دین پر، مگر جو کچھ ہے اس صدی میں وہ تنہا رضا کا ہے، اس دور پرفتن میں نظر خوش عقیدگی، اس دور پرفتن میں نظر خوش عقیدگی، سرکار کا کرم ہے وسیلہ رضا کا ہے، رضا رضا رضا، اے میرے رضا، رضا رضا، اے میرے رضا، احمد رضا، احمد رضا، احمد رضا، احمد رضا، رہنمائے کاملہ میرا رضا، میرا رضا، پیشوائے عاشقاں میرا رضا، میرا رضا، ہے ہمارا مقتدا میرا رضا، میرا رضا، علم و فن کا بادشاہ میرا رضا، میرا رضا، ہے مدینے کی ضیا میرا رضا، میرا رضا، غوث پاک کی عطا میرا رضا، میرا رضا، میرا رضا، میرا رضا، میرا رضا، میرا رضا، رضا رضا۔
Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You know what, if it was up to me, I would play that kalam again and again and again and just sit there. I was really enjoying that kalam, and I pray that you were also enjoying that kalam. What a huge, great, influential personality that, you know, if we are honest, all the people that are probably watching Madani Channel now, all the people that are behind the scenes of Madani Channel now, all the people that are involved with Dawah Islamiyya. If we are honest with ourselves, that if it was not for Sayyidi alayhi Hadrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala, then maybe none of us would be here. Without a doubt, I would say that none of us would be here, would all be still wandering in the darkness. So again, these people of the past, we owe so much to them. Yeah, we owe so much to them that, if we look at their lives and the sacrifices they made and the things they did, so that the ummah of the future can benefit. I remember Nigrani Shura once saying that the muballighs of Dawah Islamiyya need to be like motorway builders. He said that when you go on a motorway here in the UK, the speed limit is 70 miles an hour. And so you can travel in 1 hour 70 miles. But when that motorway was built, 70 miles of that motorway were not built in an hour. And he goes on to say that 1 mile, if you just look at 1 mile, the difficulties in making that 1 mile, there may be rocks there, the snow, the hailstones, the rain, the wind, all sorts of problems just to make 1 mile. He said, but then people, they built the miles so that the future can travel on them 70 miles an hour. And these great personalities, they laid the foundation stones for us. They built the motorways for us so that we can have the deen in our hearts, that we can call ourselves from the ummah of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If it was not for their efforts in building these motorways effectively, then where would we be today? But then the next question comes to mind, that what about our roles and our responsibilities? What about our responsibility to make the motorways for the ummah of the future? To make those Darul Madinas, to make them Jamatul Madinas, to make them Madrasatul Madinas, to make them masjid, make all them educational institutes to protect the iman of our future generations. If we build the motorways for the ummah now, then inshallah the future will benefit from them. And I pray that that doesn't happen, that day comes where the ummah in the future will look back and knows and say, well, what did you lot do for us? You did nothing. And here in the UK, if you look at our elders, you see that our elders came to this country. They built the masjids, they did their job. But what about our job? What is our job now? Our job is to take it to the next level. Our job is to make sure that people are in their masjids. Our job is to make sure that we have more education established, that we have these jamis where we're producing the English-speaking scholars. We have these schools, the schooling system, the Islamic schooling system is in place. This is our job now. You look at our elders, they came to this country, no language, no contacts, no money, and they achieved so much for the deen. What's our excuse? None. So please, reflect on the sacrifices made by our great personalities, but also reflect on the sacrifices made by our own elders in protecting the deen and bringing the deen to wherever you are living around the world. They have made an effort. We should also continue making that effort. Coming back to Mujaddid alayhi Sani Rahmatullah Ta'ala, they stated that he was a Hanfi due to the fact of being a follower of Imam Abu Hanifa Rahmatullah Ta'ala. And he had immense love. He wasn't just a follower. Many people say that, which school of thought do you follow? I'm a Hanfi, I'm a Shafi, I'm a Malki, I'm a Hanbali. But this personality had such great love for Imam Abu Hanifa Rahmatullah that he says that he stated that whilst mentioning the eminence of Imam Azam Abu Hanifa Rahmatullah Ta'ala, he says that what can I write in the eminent excellence of the most pious of all pious Imams, the unmatchable Imam, the distinct leader, Imam Azam Abu Hanifa Rahmatullah Ta'ala. He goes on to say, he was the most learned scholar and the one possessing the most fear of Allah Azza wa Jal amongst all the Aimai Mujaddideen. And whether it was Imam Shafi Rahmatullah Ta'ala, Imam Malik Rahmatullah Ta'ala, or Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal Rahmatullah Ta'ala. Imam Shafi has also stated that all the fuqaha, all the learned scholars are children of Imam Abu Hanifa Rahmatullah Ta'ala. Now Sayyidina Mujaddid alayhi Thani Rahmatullah Ta'ala had the authority of Khilafah as well, of making people bay'at from different spiritual chains of tariqah. In the spiritual chain of Silsila Sarwadiyya, he obtained the authority and Khalifa from his blessed teacher, Sheikh Yaqub Kashmiri Rahmatullah Ta'ala. In the spiritual chain of Silsila Chishtiya and Qadriya, he obtained the authority and Khilafah from his beloved father, Sheikh Abdullah Had Chishti Qadri. In the spiritual chain of Silsila Qadriya, he Rahmatullah Ta'ala also obtained the authority and Khilafat from the noble saint of Khaitli, an area in the vicinity of Sarhind, i.e. Shah Sikandar Qadri Rahmatullah Ta'ala. And in the spiritual chain of Silsila Naqshbandiya, he also obtained the authority and Khilafah from Khwaja Muhammad Baqi Billah Naqshbandi Rahmatullah Ta'ala. Mujaddid Al-Fisani Rahmatullah Ta'ala mentions regarding acquiring blessing from 3 spiritual chains in the following words. He says that I am linked to the noble Rasul through various links. He says from Silsila Naqshbandiya, 21 links. You know this golden chain that goes back to the Prophet of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He says from Silsila Naqshbandiya, 21 links. From Silsila Qadriya, 25 links. And from Silsila Chishtiya, 27 links. It is also stated that he had great respect and reverence. And you can see from the way he lived his life how he respected his Pir Murshid as well. Sayyidina Mujaddid Al-Thani Rahmatullah Ta'ala used to respect and honor his Pir Murshid, who was Khwaja Muhammad Baqi Billah Naqshbandi. And he loved him immensely. And Khwaja Muhammad Baqi Billah Naqshbandi Rahmatullah Ta'ala also used to regard him highly as well. How fortunate is that person that, you regard your Pir Murshid high, and you should do. Whoever is your Pir, whoever is your Murshid, in your sight, he must be the best of all the Pirs. But how fortunate is that person that your Pir thinks highly of you as well? Allahu Akbar. How fortunate those people within the environment of Dawah Islami that Amir al-Sunnat does dua for or thinks highly of them. How lucky are those people? And I pray that anybody that is attached to Dawah Islami that is watching this right now, that I pray that our Pir Murshid looks at us with this favorable gaze, looks at us, in that gaze that, he is pleased with us. Because this environment of Dawah Islami, our Pir Murshid has given us. And I pray to Allah Azza wa Jalla that we can live up to the expectations, or try to live up to the expectations of our Pir Murshid. It is stated that one day, Mujaddid Al-Fisani Rahmatullah was resting in his chamber, and like other Darwesh, those who deviate away from this world, Khwaja Muhammad Baqi Billah Naqshbandi came on his own. His own Pir came on his own. When he arrived at the doorstep of the secluded chamber, the servant wanted to wake Mujaddid Al-Fisani because his Pir Sahib had come. And the Pir strictly forbade him from doing so, and he started waiting outside the chamber for him to wake up. Sometime later, Mujaddid Al-Fisani Rahmatullah Ta'ala woke up. Upon hearing the footfall outside, he said, "Who is it?" Allahu Akbar. Khwaja Baqi Billah Rahmatullah replied, "It is Fakir Muhammad Baqi." Allah, Allah, Allah. As soon as he heard his voice, he stood up in a state of restlessness from his bed, and he came outside and he sat respectfully in front of his Pir Murshid with extreme humility and humbleness. It is stated that Sayyidina Mujaddid Al-Fisani Rahmatullah was in Markaz al-Awliya, Lahore, when his Pir Murshid Sayyidina Khwaja Muhammad Baqi Billah Naqshbandi Rahmatullah passed away in Delhi. And as soon as he received the news that his Pir Murshid had passed away, he left for Delhi straight away. Upon reaching Delhi, he presented himself at the Blessed Shrine, and after performing Fatiha Khwani and passing his condolences to the family, he then came back to Sarhand. Viewers of the channel, we're going to take a small break now. We've got a package for you, inshallah. We're going to listen to this package. Inshallah, when we come back, we're going to continue to talk about this great personality. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
The great leader of sublime spiritual chain of Silsila Naqshbandiya, Sayyidina Mujaddid Al-Fithani Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayh, Sheikh Ahmad Sarhandi Faruqi Naqshbandi alayhi Rahma, was born in a place called Sarhand in Hind, India. His blessed name was Ahmad, and the kunya was Abul Barakat, and title was Badruddin. He, Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi, is from the lineage of Sayyidina Umar Farooq Azam, Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi. Sayyidina Mujaddid Al-Fithani, Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi, acquired a lot of branches of knowledge from his blessed father, Sheikh Abdul Ahad, Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi. Along with the love of Fara'id, he, Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi, acquired the love of Nawafil as well as from his blessed father. Therefore, he says, I attained the ability to perform Nafil worship, especially Nafil prayers, from my blessed father. So this also tells us that if parents are pious, alhamdulillah, the upcoming generation, they also follow and they get blessing from the piety of the parents. Apart from this, dear respected viewers, he Rahmatullahi Ta'ala also benefited from other teachers. For example, he alayhi Rahma studied few difficult books from Maulana Kamal Kashmiri alayhi Rahma. He alayhi Rahma studied the books of hadith from Maulana Sheikh Muhammad Yaqub rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh and obtained certification from him. Along with Qasida Burda Sharif, he rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh studied many books of tafsir and hadith from Qazi Behlul Badakhshi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh. Sayyidina Mujaddid Al-Fisani alayhi rahmah completed his all branches of general education at the age of 17 only. The respected viewers, we learned about his knowledge and subhanallah love for following fara'id and offering nafil salah. Now let's talk about the love for sunnah he alayhi rahmah had. Like in other matters, Sayyidina Mujaddid Al-Fithani rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh would also take care of sunnahs of Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam while sleeping and waking up. Once in the last 10 days of Ramadanul Mubarak, he rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh unintentionally lied on the left hand side after Taraweeh in order to have some rest. Meanwhile, his servant started to massage his feet. All of a sudden, he rahmatullahi ta'ala realized that the sunnah of lying on the right side has been missed. Nafs, inner self, made him lazy that it is okay if it happens unintentionally. But he rahmatullahi ta'ala got up and lied on the right side according to sunnah. He rahmatullahi ta'ala says, as soon as I acted upon this sunnah, blessings, bounties and special splendor became apparent upon me, and a voice was heard, due to acting upon the sunnah, there will be no punishment for you in the hereafter, and your servant massaging your feet has also been forgiven. Allahu Akbar. Dear respected viewers, did you see the blessings of following the sunnah of Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam? Allahu Akbar. We should also love sunnah. We should also follow sunnah. This is what we learn from the seerah of Mujaddid Al-Fithani rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh. Imam Rabbani Mujaddid Al-Fithani rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh says, whenever I used to cook food before, I used to specify its reward to be sent to the blessed souls of noble Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, Amirul Mu'mineen Aliul Murtaza karramallahu ta'ala wajhahul kareem, Khatun Jannat Fatimatul Zahra, and Hasanan Kariman radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. One night I saw the sacred vision of noble Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. In my dream, I presented salam in the blessed court of Mustafa sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, but he did not pay attention towards me and turned his blessed face towards the other side and said to me, I eat food from Aisha's home. Whoever wants to send me food, he should send it to Aisha's house. At that time, I came to know that the reason for noble Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam not paying attention towards me was that I did not used to include Ummul Mu'mineen Sayyidatuna Aisha Siddiqa Tayyiba Tahira radiyallahu ta'ala anha in the meal, meaning in the Isale Thawab. Since then, I include Sayyidatuna Aisha Siddiqa Tayyiba Tahira radiyallahu ta'ala anha. In fact, all Ummahatul Mu'mineen radiyallahu ta'ala anhun, and all Ahl Bayt in the Ithal Thawab, and make all Ahl Bayt wasila, meaning intercession for myself. So dear respected viewers, we come to know that it was a practice of Imam Rabbani Mujaddid Al-Fithani rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh that he used to do Ithal Thawab. So we should also do Isale Thawab, where we remember Rasulullah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam in Isale Thawab and the family of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. We should also remember Ummahatul Mu'mineen, and especially Sayyidatuna Aisha Siddiqa Tayyiba Tahira radiyallahu ta'ala anha, and Sahaba Kiram, and all Mu'mineen and Mu'minat. We should remember them in our prayers, and especially when we do Isale Thawab. If you want to know more about this great personality in the history of Islam, Imam Rabbani Mujaddid Al-Fithani rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh, then alhamdulillah, a beautiful book called Biography of Mujaddid Al-Fithani rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh has been published, and it is available on Dawat-e-Islami's official website, www.dawat-e-islami.net. You can read that book and you can learn more about this great personality. Hazrat Sayyidina Shaykh Ahmad Sarhandi Farooq Naqshbandi rahmatullahi ta'ala alayh departed from this mortal world on 28 Safar al-Muzaffar 1034 after Hijri, meaning 1624. May Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala shower countless blessings upon his shrine and forgive us for his sake. Ameen bijahin Nabil Ameen. Sallu ala al-Habib. Sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Sallu ala al-Habib. Sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. MashaAllah, beautiful clip there, which sums up one portion of the life of Mujaddid Rabbani. MashaAllah, Alif Thani Rahmatullah Ta'ala, about the fact that he would also give Isa alayhi salam. And that's something that we also need to do. You know, we can do it very easily. We don't have to have big gatherings. We don't have to wait for them once in a year barsis. We can do it every day. Every day that you're traveling to work, recite Surah Fatiha, recite Surah Ikhlas, recite whatever you was, and pass this sawab, this blessings on to your loved ones. And you can pass it on to your loved ones who have passed away, but you can also pass it on to your loved ones who are alive as well. And again, you know, the more you pass it on to, the reward doesn't decrease. You know, and so we need to be very wary of that. I'm just going to give you one of the karamat of Imam Rabbani, Mujaddid al-Fisani, mashallah. It stated that once he saw a sweeper holding a big, filthy, chipped clay bowl in the toilet for cleaning. And upon seeing this, he became restless because the word Allah was engraved on the bowl. Straight away he went, he picked up the bowl, and he asked his servant to fetch an ewer full of water, and he washed it. He washed it thoroughly with his own blessed hands. He purified it. Then he wrapped it in a white cloth, and he placed it on a high place with respect. And he used to drink water from that particular bowl. One day he said that he received a revelation from Allah Azza wa Jal. And he was told that the way you have showed reverence towards my name, I will also dignify your name in this world and in the hereafter. And afterwards he used to say, the rank and status I attained due to giving respect to the blessed name of Allah Azza wa Jal could not be attained even after the worship and devotion of 100 years. Allahu Akbar. Again, respect for the name of Allah Azza wa Jal. You know, nowadays we leave papers lying around, we leave books lying around, we don't care about respect, and yet the people of the past, they would respect the name of Allah. And you have many, many instances of people that have, you know, had their sins forgiven, where they found a piece of paper that it has the name Allah on, and they've taken it, they've cleaned it and purified it and put it in a place of respect. Again, are we doing this? Have we lost that respect for the Kalam? Have we lost that respect for the Quran, that it's lying around and astaghfirullah? You know, our mindset has changed now. Viewers of the channel, please reflect on this. You know, we need to think about how we live our lives, how we live our youth. Our youth is very important. Our young age is very, very important to us. Mujaddid Sayyidina Mujaddid al-Fithani, Rahmatullah Ta'ala, also mentions about our youth. And he says that the way beginning of youth is the time for carnal desires to rise. Similarly, it is the time to acquire knowledge and become practicing as well. Acts of worship performed in youth are greater than acts of worship performed later on. Allahu Akbar. So again, you know, how are we living our lives? How is our youth? What are we doing with our youth? What are we achieving? So to the youngsters, I'm asking you now, that if you're a youngster and you're in your teens now, what are your goals? What do you want to achieve before you're 16? What do you want to achieve before you're 18? What do you want to achieve before you're 20? What do you want to achieve before you're 25? And you might say, well, you know, I want to get good GCSEs, I want to get an A level, I want to get a degree, I want to get a house, I want to get married, I want to get all these things. But what about acquiring the knowledge of the deen? What about, you know, by the age, you know, I want to be habitual in reciting Durud al-Pak on a daily basis. I want to have this habit inside me that I fast on the Monday and I fast on the Thursday. I want to have this habit inside me that I read one part of the Quran every day. I want to have this habit inside me that I make sure that, alhamdulillah, I'm reading my namaz now, but I want to be able to become a Jamaati. I want to go and read my namaz with Jamaat every day. What about all of these aims in our life? What are they on your list? Are they even on your list? And I think, you know, at that age is where, you know, a tree can be brought into a certain position. As the tree grows up and the trunk gets stronger, then for it to bend that back to another stage, it's very hard. So our youngsters, please, you know, think to yourself that one day you're going to die. You're going to die. What are you doing with your youth? What are you doing with this? Because on the day of judgment, all of us, myself, yourself, all of us, we will be asked, what did you do with your youth? What did you do with your health? What did you do with your money? What did you do with your time? And what did you do with your life? What are our answers going to be? You know, after this program, sit down and say that the answers to those 5 questions, if I'm honest with myself, what are those answers going to be? What have I done with my life? I wasted it. I've not done anything. I come here and sit and talk to you, but what have I done? I've wasted my life. And we're all wasting our life because time is so short, time could disappear. And so we need to reflect on these pious predecessors, how they lived their life. As I mentioned, Mujaddid al-Fithani rahmatullah ta'ala, by the age of 17, he had acquired the branches of knowledge of the deen. Where are we as 17-year-olds? He then went on and he carried on learning and he carried on teaching, he carried on calling people to the path of righteousness. Where are we? We've said it many, many times before that these people, because they called people to the deen, it is because of them that we are here today. So we owe it to these people to learn about their lives, to learn how they live their lives. And you know, in this 1 hour is nothing. The book that the brother mentioned in the package earlier on, that is available from the website, it's about 40 or 50 pages. And if you go through that book and read it, you'll realize how this great personality lived his life. The sacrifices he made, the miracles, the karamat that he had, the knowledge that he did, the respect for the deen, the isar israf that he did, the respect for his Pir Murshid, the respect for the Quran, reading the Quran, how the love that he had for the Quran, and you think to yourself, where am I? Am I anything in comparison to this great personality? If I look at just one aspect of his life, where is my status? And so we need to, learn from yesterday, learn from their lives, learn from these are your role models. Madani Channel, please remember this. You'll be raised with the people that you followed. Fortunate are those who followed these pious people. Fortunate are those who followed the Sahaba. Fortunate are those who followed the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But what about those people? The majority of us who don't. And the reason we don't is because we don't know about them. So please, viewers of Madani Channel, acquire this knowledge. Acquire this knowledge of these people, especially to the youngsters I'm saying to you now. I implore the youngsters of today that acquire the knowledge of the deen. Become aware of these people so that you can become proud. That's the other thing. As Muslims, we're not proud of our heritage. We're not proud of who our predecessors were because we don't know anything about them. And we need to acquire that knowledge. There are so many people, so many great personalities from every country, from every city, from every era. There are great personalities, but do we know about them? No. Whose fault is that? Mine, nobody else's. It's my responsibility, viewers of Madani Channel. And to the youngsters, once again, I implore you, please, before it's too late, before you go down that path of destruction, before you go down that path of sin, before you go down that path where ultimately you run the risk of losing your iman. Before that happens, change or get on the right path. Mufti Ahmad Yar Khan Naimi Rahmatullah Ta'ala has narrated that worship of youth is superior to the worship of old age, as the real time of acts of worship is youth. Allahu Akbar. In a young age, that is the time where you can do ibadah. That is the time that you can do nawafil. That is the time that you can fast. That is the time that you can go and perform the Hajj. I remember my blessed father, when he came back from the Hajj, and as soon as I gave him Mubarak and I met him, literally the very first words he said to me was, "My son, go and perform the Hajj as soon as possible. Don't leave it late like I did." Because he was relatively old at that time. He said, "Don't leave it late like I did. Go and perform it as soon as possible. Do not delay. Go and perform the Hajj. Do not." And from a Shariat point of view, as soon as Hajj is farz upon you, you need to perform that. And again, we delayed. This heart is still beating. Whilst we have a chance to make a change in our lives, make a change. Time, once again, is against us. And I feel that in today's program, I've told you very, very little about this great personality. But as you heard in the package, these books are available from our website, www.dawatislami.net. Please download these books. Read these books. Look up to these great personalities and try and follow in their footsteps. You've been watching yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Until the next time, keep watching Madani Channel. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
The special favor of Allah. Allah. is the bar.